There we go. We have some technical issues on last one, but there we go. Alright, so I didn't want to necessarily do it this early, because I wanted to get a bit more experience. And I just want to mention the fact that the characters aren't very high level, because I haven't been able to spend the spirit points into them, because I have not been able to get a lot of games. And one of the reasons why I wasn't able to get a lot of games is the launch of this on console absolutely sucked. The patch went live for PS4 September 8th at noon Eastern. And the survivors, the update came, Playbringer came, and the 6th mission came. But the two survivors, the two of our survivor main is what you wanted to play as, they didn't drop until September 9th at like 3 a.m. And I only found out because right before I went to bed, I wanted to see a lot of things. Now, I'm not going to cover Mia, David, and the Plaguebringer off the bat, because I think I need to discuss something more important, and that the devs need to do a much better job communicating. So, here's the patch notes. 2 pages of patch notes. 1, 2. Very simple to go off. I'm going to go off of these real quick. This is a homemade page. A full page, almost 2 pages, but I have some stuff on the side right here, of changes that aren't in the patch notes. Now, this happened before, and I think this is very important to cover, because if you remember in the Army of Darkness update, right, this is when they made changes to all of the demons. They made the changes to possession, so where Puppeteer is the only one that can access the possession tree before level 6, right? And they did this rework to support Ash's healing, to, instead of it being a set amount, it's on damage. Because this, to me, changed how he played. It took out the bug where he went in and he smashed. They did the rework to these where it added a duration effect to both of these, instead of it just being a one-time thing. So, no longer would you mark a shot and immediately it's gone because somebody meleeed your target. So they fixed those 2 bugs, and people say, oh, this is a nerf, this is a nerf. Well, personally, I think it's a buff. I still say it's a buff in my opinion. I'm gonna check my Pablo loadout real quick, because there's a couple of changes in here that were just utter garbage. At least in my opinion. I didn't really rework his build at all. It's kind of funny because one of the reasons why I wanted to double check that build was because a lot of people are still saying Artful Dodger is not worth it at 2 points, and it is to me for that little bit of leftover stamina. Yes, it doesn't give you an extra dodge, but that little bit of extra stamina means it's less time you have to wait for your stamina to regen. It might seem stupid. I do the same thing on the Warriors. On the Warriors, I have, Artful Dodger at 3, when technically I only need Artful Dodger at 2 for the extra dodge. 1 or 2, actually. I forget if it's 1 or 2. But, so what do I want to discuss? Patch notes first. So, some of the patch notes are pretty basic. You have your new survivors, and you have your new demons, which we'll get into in a few minutes. Right? So you have Mia, you have David, you have Plaguebringer. So you got 3 new characters. You got your new mission. New mission is very easy to beat. Gives you the Screamer rewards. I will change that Screamer over. Default. I want that Pit Deadeye. The default Screamer is really annoying. But Pit Deadeye, and then you get, I think it's the Army of Darkness gets one of the long face, and with Hunter Ash you get out of his wits. Okay, so you have those are your 3 Screamers. That's your reward for beating Mission 6. Mission 6 is pretty easy. The only thing I tell you is just to aim for headshots. Alright? You have the new weapon, you have the syringe and the nail gun. Now for this I am going to chime in over on David. First off, let's talk about the syringes. The syringes are a 5-speed weapon. That means the hunting knife is not the only one. They are terrible. I hate them. I would rather take the hunting knife every opportunity. They don't deal nearly enough damage. And to me, it's kind of funny that Mia in the movie goes to the cabin because she's a heroin addict, and she's trying to recover from addiction, so to speak. She's going through withdrawal and shit like that. That's the whole reason they go to the cabin, is for her to detox a little bit. And so with Mia, they introduced syringes. That's a little bit weird. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of points on him. I have kind of the basic bitch build on him. We have a nail gun. He has nail gun master. I'll let you say this gun is shit. The gun is not shit. I like the gun. It comes in, it's definitely low damage. Very low damage. It's 100 damage a shot base. To me, there's a reason why I like the nail gun. And I'm going to explore this for a minute. The nail gun is a special weapon. Now you have another option in special weapon, in my opinion. So the special weapon category is kind of unique, because before you only had 3 weapons. Yes, 3 weapons. Hear me out. So you have your blunderbuss, which is a one-shot, high damage, spread weapon with a long reload. It's like a one-shot shotgun, right? That's kind of your de facto #1 top of the pedestal option. Below that, you had 2 variations of a crossbow. Now, the crossbow is a good weapon if you can hit your shots. There's a few issues. If you have bad internet, if you have bad aim, if the servers are lagging. I played for about 2 hours tonight. Servers lagged. Every single game that we had a Plague Bearer, the server could not handle it. And that's a common issue with the Plague Bearer. Is I found the amount of Plague Bearer wins that we're getting were ridiculous. DCs. Every single day 1, day 2 that it came out, every single game there was a Plague Bearer, there was a DC. I had 3 people in my party that DC'd. Not because they rage quit. Error has occurred. 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 We had 5 out of the 7 games against Plague Bearer. Error occurred in the application. Game crashed. Today, didn't have issues with the crash. It was issues with lag more than anything, and like teleporting demon and shit like that. Like, I would be running to an objective, game would freeze, and I'd be teleported back 50 yards away with no stamina. So, definitely been an issue. But the crossbow is in that situation where if you can hit your shots and you can hit headshots, crossbow is the top weapon in the game. For example, Ed, who has the crossbow mastery, with the crossbow, single highest shot damage in the game, but since they nerfed the damage of a lot of the weapons, it means that, you know, you're not deleting bosses like you used to. Explosive crossbow has the same problems, with an added nerf to its damage because it hits an AoE. The problem is the AoE is not big enough to me. I honestly think the explosive crossbow is trash now. It's one of the worst weapons in the game, just because it has the same problems that the crossbow has. But with the crossbow, you're getting a much more impactful shot. It's 250 before scaling numbers. So, you know, for a character like Ed, who's getting 10% of that, you know, that's another 25. That's 275. You know, for a character, you know, and that's not including his ranged bonuses and stuff like that. That being a hunter, you can do absurd amounts. You're still doing upwards of 1,000 damage on a headshot on a good hunter build. The explosive crossbow doesn't do that because it hits in an area. It's much less damage and it's terrible. And then you have the saw gun, which feels like it deals no damage. It says 150. It doesn't do 150. It's just there for dismemberment. It is the premium dismemberment tool on the gun side. You want dismemberment and you want a gun, you can do that. If you're like a warrior and you wanted a rapid fire option for dismemberment at range or for depossessing, you had the saw gun. And that was about it. That's all you had for that. So your de facto on special was if you had a dedicated special user on your team, it was pretty much the blunderbuss, or occasionally Ed with that crossbow. But Ed's crossbow mastery really isn't worth it because, unlike the other masteries, it's 10%, where most of the other masteries are 20%. Somebody has said that masteries are different. I know Sledge has said something like masteries are different. Ed's is the only one that I have found that is different. He said something like the warrior ones aren't 20%, they're like 5%. I don't know where he's getting that number from, because I have they are 20%. When I do the math on it, it is registering properly. But with the nail gun mastery, with the nail gun specifically, so it does 100 a shot. So that, in terms of damage, that puts it in between the pistol and the lever action, which are both handgun class weapons. So your pistol is 70 on a common, the nail gun is 100 on a common, and the lever action is 120 on a common. So it is the lowest damage option outside of the handgun category. Why do I like it? For one, it has 9 ammo for a common. A blue puts you at 10, and I think a purple's 11, and a legendary's 12, I think? But on a blue, what's important to note is, yes, you can only hold 30 ammo, especially if David, who has that. That is a large amount of ammo without having to reload. Whereas, with the pistol and the lever action, which are both smaller magazines, they deal less damage, so it's, yes, you can spam out a full clip, but then you have to reload. Same thing with the lever action. Yes, you can spam out a full clip, but then you have to reload. The revolver does enough damage where it doesn't really matter. Any of the long guns obviously do enough damage. Special weapons are all one-shot, except for the saw gun, which you're not using for damage. This means if you miss your first shot, which can happen with the server lag, especially today, you are not punished for that. You don't have to now burn stamina to dodge to try and get the reload off. You have follow-up shots. So specifically being introduced as special is really good. I personally thought they were going to put this in handgun. I don't understand why it's in special to me. There is nothing special about it. And I haven't noticed it having, like, piercing. I think they could use to give this gun a buff, in my opinion. They could give it, like, piercing damage, right? Or they could give it an effect where, because it's a nail gun, if you hit a unit with it, they're slowed by, like, 10%. Or you could have a factor on it where, like, if you hit a certain amount of shots, it stuns it automatically for, like, a second or two. The other thing I do want to mention as a quick side note, I do think all the weapon masteries should be reworked. I think all the weapon masteries should give you some unique bonus rather than changing how the weapon works. Because just giving it, you know, more damage is something different. Like Arthur, as an example for each, so Arthur's sword mastery is actually in the Lord's Wrath. The way I would change Arthur's sword mastery is to make it to where the last hit of a full combo, if it kills an enemy, cancels your animation. So you can keep swinging. You can get a second combo on it. Or it gives you an extra hit of your combo that maybe hits in a swing. That hits in like a swing and has a projectile come off of it. For Ash, so he has the chainsaw. My thing is you could make it to where, call it something like revving the engine, where each chainsaw swing progressively gets faster on light and heavy attacks until a condition is met, right? Like you have to like kill a unit and you get the bonus on it or something like that. Like when you get a kill on a unit, it resets. So that could make it really good for helping him shred bosses. Not that he needs it, but something along those lines. These are the first thing that popped in mind. Lumberjack Axe on Scotty could be something like if you secure a headshot kill with it, with his heavy attack on the Lumberjack Axe, it doubles or triples the effectiveness of exposure therapy. Or it gives you, like, a small heal or something like that. Mia, to me, I haven't tested, I don't have her high enough to test her Blood Rain. It's very divisive so far. Some people love it, some people hate it. I think her machete mastery, because the machete's kind of terrible, they maybe could have tied that in and given her a different ability. Or they could maybe do something with the machete. Something different, like, you know, machete always inflicts bleed damage. Like a small percentage of bleed damage. Kelly's Meat Hammer mastery is really easy as to what I would do with it. Given that she's a hunter, she wants range, I would make it to where Kelly's Meat Hammer mastery, her heavy attacks are now lunges instead. So they don't deal bonus damage like the meat hammer does, but they let her lunge farther and cover distance. You know, Ed's got crossbow mastery. The simple thing I would do is to give him a 3-shot. So for his crossbow mastery, you could have the option for a tri-bolt crossbow instead of just a single. You could have a tri-bolt. The numbers would stay the same, but you have that. Ash has the double barrel mastery. I would like the ability to fire both barrels for his double mastery. You could make that weapon mastery for him, where, you know, if the gun is fully loaded and you press the reload button, it fires both barrels. You could do the same thing for Ed if you wanted to as well, where Ed has the option to, if the gun is fully loaded and you press reload, it loads the other 2 bolts, so it lets you like toggle between 3 mode and single mode, something like that. And then obviously you could have what I had before with like the slow on the nail gun or something. These are some interesting ideas I came up with for weapon masters, but I do think the nail gun is really, really good. It fills a niche role that is needed in my opinion, which is an ammo dump weapon. A warrior can pick up a nail gun because they don't want high damage weapons. They want depossession type weapons. So a nail gun is really good to pick up with them because it gives them something with a lot of ammo that they can just spam shots with without doing a lot of damage. A support, they can take a nail gun if they want a weapon that has a higher ammo capacity so they don't have to reload every turn. Because long guns are primarily what you want, or handguns. Handguns don't deal a lot of damage except for the revolver. And the revolver, usually the revolver is something a leader is running more. Nail gun's pretty good. I don't want to linger on that too much. New content. They have map selection and exploration mode. The other thing that they did in exploration mode that I want to mention is they took away the enemies. There's no enemies. If you were going to exploration mode to test before, you're not doing that now. Exploration mode is solely for learning spawns, learning the map. I don't like it anymore. I think they need to do something in exploration mode to make it more viable. If they made it kind of a free-for-all mode where you could spawn units in willy-nilly to like test the weapons you find, that would be better. Or test the builds you find, that would be better. Cars now receive damage during the Dark One. I'm going to talk about the cars now. So, cars. Cars now receive damage per second during the Dark One and Necronomicon stages. This is designed to keep you from body blocking the book with the car, and this is designed to keep you from picking a car and driving it around in a circle, which we've had happen. I had that happen on a stream on one of my Twitch streams a couple weeks ago, where the demon could not kill our Scotty. Our Scotty could not revive us, had no healing items, so every time the demon jumped him, he got into one of the 2 cars that were over by Dark One and just kept driving around. It was funny, but it made the game go on for way too long. So, that, I don't mind. I've never been a fan of cars. Cars should only be used if you're grouped up to get your group from point A to point D across long distances, especially if you're low health or you're weak. The reason why I don't like cars personally is because if your car gets possessed in the middle of nowhere, you're dead. If I'm a demon player and I see somebody in a car by themselves, I will possess them, take the car, and drive away. There's no point to possessing a car if 2 or 3 people are in it, because they're going to be in a group when they get out. They'll be fine. So, cars only get value if you can, as like a herding tool, for herding the sheeple together. You get like 3 to 4 survivors together, you get in a car, and you drive away. There's no point in possessing a car as a demon, if that's the case. It's more of the fact that a solo survivor who runs off on their own can jump into a car and not get punished. Now they're going to be punished. So, you have that. The other parts about the car is that they nerfed the amount of cars on the map. They reduced the amount of spawn cars on the map by 30%. I notice it on a couple of maps. I mostly notice it on the small map, the Lucky Valley Lodge map, as I call it. I know the Adobe Cabin map. I noticed it on that map. I don't notice it on Kandar. That's also because the car spawns on Kandar. You have to walk over to them for the car to drop. So that could be part of it. I don't notice it on the big map because, in my opinion, the big map never had enough cars. So there's that. Alright? So the other changes. So the lever action now uses handgun ammo. So this to me is kind of interesting. I'm going to Amanda to talk about this. The handgun before only had 2 weapons that fit. You had the pistol, which was Amanda's specialty, which most people said was the worst weapon in the game. Although I did come up with a good strategy for it, which is what I called the depossessed build. This is good for a character like Henry. You pick up a gun, you pick up a pistol. When a demon possesses you, most of the time, they want to use your gun. Guns deal more damage. So, as a warrior, having a gun is, like, not really good. You're not using your gun when you're playing warrior. Except for, like, these possessions at range. So, on my warriors, I would try and pick up a pistol. If there was no higher rarity weapons available that, like, were in demand, I would take a pistol. 100%. Because the demon uses my pistol, right? Yes, they get energy per hit, and you can spam off hits, and it stun locks my... Oh no, my Cheryl's being stun locked. But you're only dealing like 20 damage a hit with that pistol. If I'm using something like a shotgun, I'm dealing 100 damage, and the demon's gaining energy off that. They're gaining more energy off of that than with the pistol. Because if you miss a pistol shot or 2, you know, you could hit your first 2 shots, miss 2, and then hit 2. That's a lot less energy for the demon. It ends possessions a lot faster. Especially because most people don't like pistols anyways. Now the revolver is something I would use a lot with Annie. Because I like the revolver with Annie because she gets the buff to the ranged weapon with her aura. Now I don't want to take away a good power weapon away from a hunter. But I also don't want to use a shitty weapon. So normally I'd pick up the revolver, which I consider a pretty mid-tier. You can hit your shots with it, it's really good. Especially on headshot. Well, now with the lever action being there, you essentially have a machine gun. One thing it does is it buffs the lever action up, because now, instead of a purple or a legendary lever action being like such a bad weapon, it's like, oh, I guess it's better than, you know, a common revolver. I guess I'll take it. And then you have to fight your hunter for long gun ammo. Now you can take the lever action and you essentially have a rapid fire machine gun. I ran that before with support Ash for his marked target. I wanted either a pistol or a revolver. Now I can grab the lever action, and if I have a purple or a legendary, which is 6 or 7 shots, that's beastly. The problem that I see with the lever action being pistol is now it's kind of rendered the pistol obsolete. It made the pistol to me, which was already a lackluster weapon, if it wasn't in Amanda's hands, because Amanda starts with it, and Amanda has the mastery for it, and accuracy counts is really only good with the revolver, pistol, the handgun. I said pistol and handgun and revolver. I meant to say lever action as one of those. Now, why would I pick the pistol when I could do the lever action? More damage per hit. But I still think it's a good change. It makes the lever action better. The mini Eligos, or the Demi Eligos' Thunderstruck ability got a buff to its velocity, so it hits faster now. I haven't tested it, but to me, it was a much needed change, because it's very easy to dodge out of the radius of it, unless you are just coming out of an animation. Like, if you're just coming out of a finisher, or if you're reloading, or coming out of a Shen, you're going to take that hit. You're not dodging out of that. Any other time you can dodge that. So I'm hoping the velocity change makes them better. They did some passive shit too, like changing the portrait. I don't really care about that. The Warlord Elite light attack is faster now. I played against that. I don't notice it. The Warlord's Elite units are kind of trash still. They're big, they're spongy, they hit hard, but they don't hit enough. The big one is that AI. AI is a lot more aggressive now on any unit. I do want to mention that against Deadite AI, that was already really good, was really aggressive. This is absurd. Necromancer has... Oh, I clicked on Warlord. Well, I'll click on Warlord. So Warlord has the attack frequency, right, on her power. That got a little bit of a nerf because of the fact that they got that buff. And they kind of left Necromancer alone because he already has Bone Rage, which is skeletons attacking more often. I've not really noticed the AI that much. It seems, though, AI units already, particularly Necromancer ones, already use like Warcry and the Thrust more often. So the other units now use their special attacks more. Some of these are bug changes. Necromancer can't spawn a second Flutist, don't really care on that. More Infernal Energy Orbs on the other two maps besides Kandar. I played those two maps as a demon and I didn't notice it. I'll tell you right now, I played Puppeteer of Warlord. I did not feel them at all. But we'll see. The minimum distance between objectives has been increased. So what I'm noticing before is it went from like 50 meters to 100 meters. So like as an example, we had Windmill spawn and we had Afton Village spawn, which are like 120 meters away from each other. So instead of it being like Windmill and Vengeance Village, which could be right next to each other, or Puck's Pond and, you know, Ye Old Mark, now you'd get something like Puck's Pond and Smithy. On Kandar, it's not really noticeable. Because there's too many objective spawns over there. On the big map, you don't really feel it because most of the time the spawns were like 700 yards away from each other most of the time. On the small map is where I really notice it more. On the small map, you're now getting a lot more spawns of like Bronson Cave and Terminal Station, or Fishing Village and Frying Pan Tunnel. I kind of like that. I don't like if it's something like, you know, Lucky, if it's like Circus Cages and Bronson, or Circus Cages and Fishing Village, which are relatively close. Again, I don't have a problem with that. After objective, the demon gets expelled closer to the next objective. To me, this does nothing if you split cap. If you're able to split cap, that's fine. If you have to stay grouped up, that's a big win for the demon, but that also depends on how you play demon. This is the ones that I wanted to mention now, because I'm calling bullshit on this patch note. Reduced high rarity drops on common boxes. I call bullshit on that. I got a purple that dropped out of a common box today. That's the first time I've had that happen in a while, but I wasn't getting more than a blue on a common box most of the time. That's not what I want to discuss. Reduce the number of hidden weapons on the Army of Darkness map. Okay. I never really noticed that. Why am I calling bullshit on that? Which two? Reduced the rarity on hidden weapons. Bullshit. I played 2 games today where every single hidden weapon that I revealed with a flashlight, one was on Kandar and one was on the Lucky Valley map. Every single hidden weapon I revealed was blue. Whether that's a bug or not, I call bullshit. I got more blue weapons out of hidden weapons on the ground than I did off of crates. I got more blue weapons in one game than common weapons. I couldn't find a common weapon to save my life. I call bullshit on that. I just want to mention that because I think the patch notes are bullshit. Reduce the number of Shems and Amulet spawns in Kandar. Where? Where is this? We hit a game today on Kandar where every single place we went to had at least one Shems. I was playing David. I was full on Shems. There were 3 Shems I couldn't pick up in the castle. Walked to Puck's Pond. There were 3 Shems over there. 3 demons dropped a Shems on the way, went over to Vengeance Village. Each building in Vengeance Village had a cola. A body outside of Vengeance Village dropped a cola. Started the objective at Windmill. 2 more colas dropped over there. And then absolutely nothing over at Fort Court by Reformation. Absolutely nothing the entire rest of the game. So I don't think they reduced the Shems. I think they moved them. At least that's what I'm going with. Increased Necronomicon health. Whoop-de-doo. Players can no longer duplicate amulets and colas. I never did that before. It doesn't affect me. If you did that, you're trash. Players can no longer duplicate items by simultaneously pressing drop and drop all. Again, you're trash if you did that. Players can no longer drop items if they're being hit by mini ashes, or the hand, or they're being possessed. Good. That needed to be in the game a long time ago. I had a friend of mine that was still doing that. I kind of ragged on him for it. Now you can't do that. Good. I think that's really unfair. Like, the mini ashes are supposed to take it away. To compensate, they made it so the mini ashes can't take as many shems away from you. Personally, they should have also extended that to amulets and matchsticks, given that they're limited carry quantity. Ammo, not so much. Fuck going off on ammo. But, let's see why they did it. Most of these are bug changes. The Necronomicon can no longer be attacked before the timer starts. Thank you. No more Warlord strategy of spawn elite and go smack book with heavies 2 times while the Dark One's animation is going away, and now 25% of book health is gone. Good. Love that change. Yeah, most of these are bug fixes, right? Totally fine. They're the page. This is what I want to talk about. Here's the notes about what got changed. So, let's talk about the demon side first, because the demon got a few buffs and a few nerfs. Necromancer got some changes here. The first major one that's not listed is on his 25 skeletal, or his 45 on skeletal injury. Skeletal injury is interesting. The way it used to work was it was a flat 15%. Your skeletons deal more damage whenever they are nearby a survivor. So it wasn't a nerf. What that they gave it. They gave it a rework, so it's a little bit of a buff. What it means is now each skeleton gives a 5% damage received bonus. Up to 5 skeletons. So if you have 5 skeletons within range of a survivor, they will deal 25% more damage to that survivor. This means that horde scenarios of spawning tons and tons and tons of units is much more viable. What it also means is that it's not as viable. I'm gonna run into that. Make that one go. I'll put that. Let me see if I can get the boss health up here. Hold on, hold on. That's the most I can get, I guess. And I could rework that, but I want to leave that where that's at. But, yeah. So, skeletal injury. I got sidetracked, sorry. This is good. I like that. I always thought he should be the spam swarmer, which is how I play my warlord, ironically. I play my warlord more like that than I play him. So, I like that change. A couple of the skills got significantly nerfed. First off, all the bosses got big health increases. All basic units got their balance bar health increases. All the boss grabs got nerfed in terms of damage. Although Evil Ash's Force Choke, he did get a buff to his healing numbers. Not in improved Infernal Invigoration, but they did up the amount by default that he gets without this. So, I didn't really have a problem with that. The only other change that they gave him specifically is Relentless Evil's numbers got nerfed. So it used to be 10, 15, 20, is now 2, 5, 10. So to me, this ability right here is worthless if you were running this before. You notice my build changed a lot on him is because a lot of things became much more valuable. Oh, I could nerf this. No, I'll leave that. I'll leave that. Right? You notice I haven't built in a balance bar of elites because balance bar got nerfed on the survivor side. To me, I don't really need the balance bar that much. I built it up on basics because I use basics more anyway. I don't really use the elites over here. I think his elites are kind of trashy, and they remain kind of trashy. Puppeteer and Warlord got major reworks. So, let's cover Puppeteer first. So, besides Boss getting a big health boost, besides Boss Grab getting a nerf, right? Puppet power is back to normal. So the cooldown got dropped to 60 seconds, which is critical for his playstyle. The maximum health on the power is up to 80%. It went from 40 to 80. This means that your bonuses here are even stronger now. This gives you 95% bonus health and 25% bonus damage. Now the trade-off to me is that the damage number is less because they want you to invest into some of his Puppet Mastery basics. His Puppet Mastery skills in the tree. Anything that says Puppet Master has to do with the Puppet Master ability, his power possess. So I don't mind that change. The cooldown is the big one. See, before I ran Relentless Evil because that dropped my cooldown down to 60 seconds. Now, I'm dropping my cooldown to 40 seconds. Which is absurd. I love that. That makes Puppeteer really strong for Possessed unit build again. It's not as much dominant on Possessed Survivor anymore as it is Possessed unit. They did a lot of changes to some of his abilities, some of the abilities in his tree as well. One thing they did do is they nerfed the damage on the self-destruct ability from basic units. I'm perfectly fine with that. Changes that I wanted to mention. What was the changes I wanted to mention? So Test of Time on Puppeteer got a buff. Instead of it capping at 15% like it normally did, it's now capping at 35%, which makes this much stronger than it was before, and it was already really strong. I know they changed the scaling on one of these. I don't know what it is. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. This one gives you now more energy per hit. They massively buffed up the Health Razor Elite. I liked it before, but I didn't have the points for it when I was making more Elite builds. I really don't like his Elites. Now, another thing that they did is the Balance Bar ones is much better. Balance Bar got better on him. Balance Bar got better on him. It's fine. It's not really great, but it's there. The big one to me that got changed was heavy damage. Heavy damage is now 10, 15, 20. Before it was 2, 5, 10. And that's a huge... There was no reason for me to invest in any of these before. I'm surprised they left the boss how they did. Because the boss really didn't need it. So... I like that they did this change right here to give them more damage. I just think Puppeteer is already so oppressive to begin with. I'm wondering now how oppressive Boss is going to be. Or how oppressive Puppeteer is going to be. Because I don't think he was that bad before. But I think he is kind of bad. I think that the Plaguebringer really outshines him. Warlord is the one that got the most changes, in my opinion. First off, Hemophobia got a nerf from 135 to 123. I was only running it at 1 anyways, so I think it's fine. Puke got a change. So Puke now only lasts 2 seconds, does slightly more damage, and they nerfed these two abilities from 5 seconds to 4 seconds to compensate. I don't really think it's that good or that bad. It just makes her less crowd control based. The big change is on Really Bad Influence. Really Bad Influence base massively got buffed. It's 115% maximum health. This is up from 30%. So now, when you stack your other two, you're at 135% bonus health. The damage number went up from 30 to 45. Now you're stacking 65% bonus damage on AI units. And with the AI frequency, this makes Warlord really strong for AI spam builds. They also changed some of her powers, so her test of time got even better. Her test of time was 10 and 15%, is now 15 and 20. Her demonic revival was even terrible. It was like 5 and 10% health regen, now 15 and 25. I would put another point here if I could. I don't have anywhere else where I can take a point off. I have the maximum amount of points over here. I mean, I could take it off Relentless Evil. That's a lot. I think I'm gonna do that, actually. That is an absurd amount. At 20% cooldown, I'll be fine with that. What? That's 6 seconds, that's 24. Yeah, that's just extra 4 seconds on my cooldown. That's 4 seconds versus the 25. Yeah, I'll take that. Pain Parasite got its numbers doubled. What's another change I saw? The Elite Balance Bar went up too. These are massive buffs on the demon side, which are non-attachment. Then we get to the Survivor side. And all of my Survivor builds, for the most part, got reworked. So, before we cover the big one, I want to cover a couple things that weren't mentioned. Kelly's 2 bleed abilities got buffs. The bleed in her power, in her active ability, went from 10% to 20%, and the bleed on her dodge went from 10% to 20%. These abilities aren't really good. So these abilities getting buffed doesn't affect me at all. Although I will mention, I am quite tempted to take the 2 points out of staying power and put them into quicker cooldown for the bleed damage more often. But I don't ever find myself using it. I don't ever find myself using her power unless I need to spam dodge out of like a boss or something like that. So her bleed abilities to me are worthless. Ed got his cooldown nerfed to 120 seconds now. I think they're still trying to nerf the trap spam, where Ed can negate traps still being really strong. I don't think they need it at 110. To me, it just means I took my points out of quicker picker-upper, I put 1 in staying power, and I put 2 in cooldown now. So, I take 11 seconds off. I'm under 100 seconds now. Yay, I guess. Collector also inadvertently got a buff because of the fact that they dropped rarities and shimps from the map. I'm not seeing it. Like I said, I'm not seeing that change. I still get tons and tons of amulets, colas, high weapon. So, Ed is still fine, in my opinion. Henry got a major nerf, in my opinion, because the cooldown on Unstoppable went up from 60 to 75. This makes quicker cooldown mandatory if you're a Henry player. It really does. Because now you're dropping your cooldown by 7 seconds. You're getting it closer to the 60-second mark that you were at before. Where before you would spam this ability off cooldown. Now you have to be much more tactical with it. The other big one that I want to talk about is Annie. Because Annie is going to segue into my next point, which is the last point I want to cover out of all the patch notes. I'm going to end the video, and I'm going to do a separate video. Annie's my last talking point. They nerfed Survivor Balance Bar damage. How did they do that? They didn't nerf the weapons. Her 2 passives here, the auras went from 25 to 15% for the basics and the elites. Boss is still the same on Slugger, but the elite version of Slugger, they nerfed that. Okay, now that's not bad. That's 1 character. Seeing Stars got nerfed from 10, 15, 25 to 5, 10, 15. And because of the way the 10-15 rule works with this game, the 10-15-25 versus 5-10-15, You put 2 points into it for 10%. That's all you put into it. You don't cap that. Here's why I had to take Seeing Stars off of almost every single build. Now, I didn't really use it on the Warriors. I used it as a filler. The one change, the big change is on Army of Darkness before, the other version of this build that I would run, I'd take the 2 points off the cooldown and put them here for 15%. I have no reason to do that now. It's better off doing the cooldown. They nerfed Blunt Force Trauma, but to me that didn't really matter. That was kind of like an extra. That's like a filler. They nerfed that hard though. That was 15 and 30, like Razor's Edge was. Now it's 5-10. I'm surprised though that they didn't nerf Stunning Strikes. Stunning Strikes is still exactly the same as before, but I guess that's because it's on heavies, you know. I mean, I never ran it on my Warriors other than 1 point if I wanted access to the heavy, like on Scotty, and in my opinion, you mainly want to use sharp weapons on Warriors. So Dismemberment was always better for me on Warriors, because the best melee weapons, the top 3 melee weapons are Chainsaw, Sword, Lumberjack Axe. So you were always looking to use those as a Warrior for the most part anyways. So Seeing Stars doesn't nerf them. It does on them. Annie, I can just straight up drop Seeing Stars, and she's focused solely on range. One thing I did do now is every leader can get fast forward at 4. Instead of just Leader Ash. It also means that Leader Ash and Arthur play exactly the same now, because my Leader Ash build is the same. The only thing I did was take 2 points out of Seeing Stars and put them in the last word. So I have more combo damage if I go for the combo. And on Arthur, the 2 points that I had always floated over in Echoes of an Aura are now over into Fast Forward with 2 points from Seeing Stars. There's no point to running that. There's no point to running that. The big one that gets the nerf are the supports, because Leader Ash, or Support Ash, just freed up a couple of points here. So instead of building Seeing Stars into Wig Splitter, I kind of built into Last Word here. I was running the last, right away I ran the Last Word at 3. That's what I did initially. And I changed that. I took and put them into first 8. That way there's more health on a res if I get it off. I think that's pretty strong. Cheryl's the one that got the big nerf, because Cheryl, I had always been trying to figure out, like, okay, what do I want to run with her? And I don't like taking the extra amulets. I think that's like Pablo's thing. I think Pablo should stay with that. Most of the time on a support, I care about the shemps more than the amulets. Amulets are like, meh. We don't really play around amulets too much unless we have, you know, a lot of Warriors. I don't need to build combat. With Seeing Stars being worthless, there's no point into investing into it. I'm not going to be investing the points into something like either a melee or a range. Before, what I was doing is the Last Word. I did invest into the Last Word for the combo bonus on it, for that last hit, but I F-chain mostly, so that's not really needed. So because of that, I was trying to figure out, what do I build it? Do I maybe build the Revive build again? Or am I just maxing out the Revive perks? And I kind of decided against that and went into Fast Forward, because pairing Cheryl with a leader on an objective is going to be really strong, because Cheryl keeps the team alive, leader boosts Cheryl's damage. Pablo just gave me like a couple extra points. Like, I have an extra point to wing it now, because I put my point back into Artful Dodger, and I put a point over into Good Karma, so I get a small heal now. So I went Good Karma over Brave Survivor, mostly because I need the healing more. But David, I haven't even gotten there yet. That Seeing Stars nerf, though, is huge. And it also changes how demon builds work, because now I don't have to invest so much into skills. I don't have to invest into Rocksteady Elite. That's the thing. A lot of points in this build got freed up because of the fact that I don't need the points into the Rocksteady Elite. If I summon Elites, I don't care if they get F-chained. The fact that that is the case now, that balance bars are just stronger overall for demons, means that Dismemberment is much stronger of a meta. Damage, straight damage, is much stronger of a meta. Although I will talk about that in the next update. So,